What if Sonic characters can fuse? Another video by Beware. Day 5 or 6. Still haven't got my light and still can't use my 4K camera. Yeah, I'm just about to go to Walmart or something. Cause Amazon, what you doing? I wanted to watch this video and didn't want to leave y'all out. So here we are.
Perfect.
What if Sonic and Silver fused together into a single character? What about Sonic and Knuckles, or Silver and Blaze? How would fusion work within the lore of the Sonic world? What would these fusions look like, and how powerful would they be? Today I'm going to be exploring the untapped potential of fusion within the Sonic franchise, including combinations for Sonic, Tails, Blaze, and more. I've stumbled onto some really awesome pairings. I think you're really gonna like my idea for Silver and Shadow. And if you have any ideas for fusions I don't mention here, be sure to tell me down below. Some of these concepts today were inspired by your comments. Okay, first up, Sonic and Knuckles.
Hey.
Well, wait a minute. Before I get into that, I should probably make some things clear. How would fusion actually work in the Sonic world? We don't exactly have a lot to pull from. Metal Sonic copied the data of various life forms to transform into Neo Metal and later Metal Madness.
You could deadass just use the Chaos Emerald to fuse, because you can wish on Chaos Emeralds, by the way.
But this is not a combination of characters into a new being that shares one mind and one will. The closest we got to good old-fashioned fusion is the Bio-Lizard at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. It used Chaos Control to teleport into the Space Colony Arc, fusing with the space station to become the final hazard. Obviously, this is only one character fusing with an inanimate object, but it does give us our answer, Chaos Control. By
See? The Chaos Emeralds. Like, come on now.
using a Chaos Emerald to teleport into a location already occupied by another character, the two could reasonably be merged together into a new being. This is actually a concept that's existed in the fandom for a while, called Chaos Unification.
Imagine Chaos controlling somewhere in the exact location as somebody, and you're eating soup, and the nigga just fuses with you. Like, bro, stop! Like, what? Get out of me!
Oh, nigga, you gay.
Big pause.
It was popularized by animator Chaos.exe in his animation
Hey.
Nazo Unleashed, where Sonic and Shadow fused together into the new and incredibly powerful Shattuck. Many artists have done their own spin on the Shattuck design.
I've made a short on Shattuck, and I want to make a Sono short over on my main channel sometime in the future for sure.
Including CAD and Terminal Repo. The latter also created an alternate fusion of Sonic and Shadow. Instead of merging through Chaos Unification, they fused through the use of special inhibitor rings that bind their energies together to create Sono.
Kind of like a Patara.
I love both of these guys and their ideas, and I even got Terminal Repo to design one of my fusions later in the video, so definitely stick around for that. But anyway, that's our main stipulation. We'll be combining these characters through Chaos Unification, meaning at least one of them has to be able to use Chaos Control. I did add one other rule. The characters have to have at least a little bit of a bond. They don't need to be best friends, but for this to work in my head, they can't be complete strangers. As much as I'd want to see Infinite fuse with Shadow, those guys hate each other way too much. Also, I have a personal pet peeve with
What are you trying to do? Destroy the world? Like, I gonna see the whole timeline gonna be destroyed if them two niggas fuse. Oh my gosh!
fusion names just smushing together the names of the two fusees. I know that's how they do it in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Goku and Vegeta become Gogeta, but in Sonic, the characters are named after an attribute of theirs. Shadow is dark and brooding. Knuckles has big-ass pointy knuckles. Tails has Tails. So for these fused characters, I'll be creating a new name that captures their new traits as an original character. So, Sonic and Knuckles. When crafting this new fused character, I wanted to make sure I got both of their personalities and abilities straight, so that I can find a fair balance between the two. Starting off, Sonic is obviously all about speed, freedom, and energy. He's super kinetic and very braggadocious. He loves to show off and make fun of his enemies, but he's not hyperactive. He's basically as chill as a person can reasonably be without being lethargic, because like the wind, he moves effortlessly from moment to moment with nothing holding him back. All this is accentuated by his impossible speed and acrobatic skill. You literally can't hold him down. Knuckles, on the other hand, is a lot more rigid. He's got a strict echidna code that he adheres to as part of his clan's responsibility to protect Angel Island and the Master Emerald. He's got a big ego too, but he's not a goofball like Sonic. He only brags as a matter of fact. Plus, he's got a much hotter temper. Set him off and he'll punch your lights out. If Sonic can breeze through life's difficulties, Knuckles knocks them down. He's incredibly stubborn, often to his own detriment, but he can back that up with his ridiculous strength, plus his specialized abilities. His dread-like quills allow him to glide through the air, and he can use the spikes on his gloves to climb up walls or tunnel through the earth. So, if these two were pushed to the brink by an enemy, and they only have a single Chaos Emerald on hand, Sonic could use it to warp into Knuckles, transforming them into Striker the Tenric. With all of Sonic's speed and Knuckles' strength, Striker hits harder than any other non-super character in the series. While he maintains Sonic's ludicrous running speed, he doesn't use his more acrobatic abilities, and only fights using punches, no kicks. That said, those punches are faster than lightning and hit harder than a freight train. Now, you may have noticed that I said Striker is a Tenric. Because these characters are all animals, when the two fusing are of a different species, I did my best to pick an animal that's a little bit like both of them. So, with a hedgehog and an echidna, I'd call the fusion a Tenric, which is the animal I think shares the most overlapping traits between the two. A Tenric is a marsupial, meaning it carries its young in a pouch after birth, the halfway point between the mammalian hedgehog and the egg-laying echidna. They also have spines, eat mostly insects, and have a medium-length snout. I think it's a pretty great fit. But I know this isn't how animal species actually work. They don't actually have a perfect genetic halfway point. So, if you just want to call these fusions the hybrid, I think that also works pretty well. Anyway, speaking of hedgehogs and echidnas, Striker is stupid cocky. He's extremely confident in his strength and his speed, although he'll mostly keep quiet about it unless you get on his nerves. Tick him off and he will blow a gasket, running circles around you while he blasts you with insults and beats the brakes off of you. You'll notice I gave him a third spike on his gloves, and they're longer and more curved, sort of like Sonic's quills. He'll often lodge his spiked knuckles into a boulder or chunk of machinery, then swing it around, one on each hand like giant boxing gloves. Striker is basically unstoppable, especially if you set him off, which is why my next fusion...
Of course he'd be unstoppable. I mean, you got the speed of Sonic and the power of Knuckles, bruh. And then some? Yeah.
...is much more chill. That would be Sonic and Blaze.
Super Striker would be awesome. Who's stopping him? Literally.
Blaze the cat was actually created to be a foil to Sonic in the most literal sense. She's a version of him from an alternate universe.
Deadass, I used to love playing with Blaze on Sonic Rush, bro. Ah, man. Ah! Y'all make me want to go back and play those games so bad.
He's the wind, she's burning flames. He's free-spirited and a drifter, while Blaze is the embodiment of restraint. A calm, disciplined, and introverted hero who hides deep emotion beneath formality and focus. Blaze mainly believes that she must maintain control at all times of her powers, her emotions, and her duties as Princess of the Soul Kingdom. She has to learn to open up over time, but once you understand her powers, you totally get her obsession with restraint. Her pyrokinesis is incredibly powerful, capable of creating, manipulating, and launching flames.
Yeah, she that girl for real. Dead ass. If there's any time to make something shake in the Sonic universe, she will. And I ain't talking about that ass.
Big man thing, yeah?
Including using them as propulsion to reach speeds on par with Sonic. Blaze is a powerhouse in every sense of the word, although she's not quick to act. She starts with diplomacy whenever possible. Honestly, when figuring out how these two would meld into a single character was kind of tough, but I think I cracked it. This is Comet the Civet.
Comet! Nah, that's a cold name. I ain't gonna cap. The name Striker for the last fusion, I feel like a better name would be better for him. We're probably gonna have to look in the comment section for that. But Comet is nice. I like this. It's cool.
Named Comet because he's as fast as a flaming meteor streaking through the night sky, he is ludicrously fast. Sonic's base running speed is...
Hold up. Look at the drip. Bro got the chain. He got the jacket from Shein. Got the little orb in the middle. Oh, and he got the spikes for the socks. Ah, come on, man. And look at his shoes. Oh my gosh. All right, tight shit, tight shit. Oh, you look at the quails. Look at the quails. Oh my gosh. Look at the quails.
Through the night sky, he is ludicrously fast. Sonic's base running speed is boosted by Blaze's fire propulsion, visually depicted by the fact that the soles of his feet are perpetually burning up. And you'll notice his flames are blue, the color of Sonic, but also much hotter than Blaze's base fire. Like Sonic, Comet fights a lot with his feet, using large swinging kicks to launch waves of fire at enemies in a maelstrom of breakdancing. Also influenced by Sonic's cockiness, he's inclined to draw things on the ground with the trails of fire he leaves in his wake, sort of like you could do with the Psyloop in Sonic Frontiers.
That is such a cool idea. Nigga fights with his feet. He's so cocky that when he's fighting you, he's just gonna draw your name in the sand. I would hate to fight this dude. Him and Vegeta would be friends.
Now, to address two details of this fusion. First, a civet is basically the halfway point between a hedgehog and a cat. Short, bristly fur that's a little bit like quills and a little bit like a cat's hair. It eats both insects and small animals, and it's also a nocturnal, solitary creature. Certain species of civet can actually get pretty big, but most are about 4 to 10 pounds, like a house cat. Also, Comet is male. I think when fusing two characters of opposite genders, you could make the fusion androgynous, but I think it makes more sense that they take the form of the more dominant of the personalities, which in this case is definitely Sonic. That said, Comet is still influenced quite a bit by Blaze. He's a very traditional type of hero, jovial but focused. He's not really a trickster and doesn't quip too much. He yearns for adventure, but he's not a drifter. In a situation where things are low stakes, he might goof off a little, but when facing danger, that all goes out the window.
He's like Sonic, but more laid back, chill, more level-headed, like less quick to jump into action. He's more analytical when it comes to action. Okay, I see it.
He is no nonsense and very focused on making sure his flames don't go out of control.
Yep.
And if you like that sort of influence from Blaze's character, you'll really like the next fusion. But first, this isn't my only video on the world of Sonic hypotheticals. Ever wonder what form Sonic would get if he absorbed all the wisps? Or if Shadow was overcome with Doom powers? You can see both of those ideas.
I watched both of those videos. They're fire. You need to go watch them. Watch them now. Well, not right now. Wait till you get done with this video. But go watch him afterwards. Go watch his original video if you don't want to watch my reaction to it. Please go support him.
And a bunch more in these videos here, also linked in the description. And while you're down there, why not tickle that subscribe button? Maybe poke like or tap up a little comment to keep the algorithm happy? Or not. Whatever, I'm totally not desperate or anything. Anyway, Blaze and Silver. These two had a great dynamic in Sonic 06. Blaze's calm rationality always pulling against Silver's overzealous ambition. While Blaze suppresses her emotions, Silver is practically bursting at the seams with them. His rage against Iblis, his sorrow for the destroyed world, and his misplaced righteousness as he butts head with Sonic and Shadow in the past. All of this is what made him naive enough to believe Methyllus when he offered him a way to save the future, and Blaze even says as much. Silver is an idealist, while Blaze is much more of a realist, but the two of them do share similarities. They were both burdened by isolation and a sense of duty, and bonded over it. Beyond that, Silver is also psychokinetic. He can use his mind to manipulate matter, to float and fly through the air, pick up and toss around anything he can see like a weapon, or even snatch his enemies right up off the ground and send them flying. Silver is a lot like a blunt object, well-intentioned but often misguided and too motivated to listen to reason. He will bowl you over with the power to smash apart buildings in a wave of psychic force. But he's not all angst and destruction. His emotionality also makes him very joyful and particularly appreciative of the beauties of the past that he never got to experience in his destroyed future. So what does it look like when he fuses with Blaze, who often willingly limits how much of the world she can see in order to maintain control? We get Aurora the Civet. Aurora has all of
Aurora, that is cold. Nah, I like these names. Striker, you got some explaining to do.
Blaze's refinement along with Silver's energy. A lot like Comet, she's basically a balance between their two personalities.
Damn, so this one's a girl? Silver, Blaze just made you the bitch. She's the more dominant? Nah, that's crazy, cuz.
Driven and decisive like Silver, but, you know, she doesn't run around screaming about Iblis triggers and telling everybody she's from the future. Her powers are the source of her name. An aurora is when charged particles from the sun light up in blue-green energy that dances across the sky, like Silver's psychic energy powered up by Blaze's flames. And that's exactly how they work. She can manipulate matter and throw it around just like Silver, but anything her mind is touching, she can choose to instantly superheat, catching an enemy robot out of the air and melting it into molten metal in a snap, or carving huge swaths of earth out of the way by effortlessly boiling it into magma.
Oh my God.
It's a terrifying and potentially unwieldy power, one wielded by someone who knows what it means to have a dimension to protect and a future to save.
Nigga could deadass think of Sonic, and he'd just catch on fire.
So, we've seen Sonic and Blaze and Silver. Next up, how about Sonic and Silver? These two haven't gotten much time as a duo, not like Sonic
Clearly we know who's finna be the dominant.
has with Shadow, but the IDW comics do give them an arc to shine together as dual protagonists, and I think that was dope, because these two have a lot of untapped potential. Sonic is extremely chill, while Silver is usually either freaking out about an apocalypse or elated that he gets to eat real vegetables here in the past.
Untapped potential with Sonic? Have you seen the Archie comics? The Archie comics showed a lot of his potential. Now, Silver, on the other hand, we still saw a lot of his potential too, but I can see why his untapped potential would be not shown. So I get it on Silver's part, but Sonic?
But they're both very prideful, so when they get into a confrontation, they play off each other really well. It's a constant back and forth of, oh yeah? Well, check this shit out. And obviously their powers are both busted, but counter each other well. Silver can basically make you do whatever he wants if he catches you, but he has to catch you. So, when I considered making a fusion of these two, I realized that the result would not only be practically unstoppable, but also a nightmare to go up against purely because of how cocky and egotistical he would be. This is Photon the Hedgehog.
Photon is a cold name. I would hate to see him coming on a Thursday. Fucking hair, fire. Pose, fire. Eyes, fire. Gloves, fire. Fur, fire. Shoes. Oh my God.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Photon, named after the fastest thing in the universe, a particle of light, acts just like one.
Fire.
He's got Sonic's free spirit and Silver's awakened mind, so his psychokinesis is always on. He floats above the ground completely weightless at all times. He never walks. Instead of an ability that has to be activated, Photon mostly interacts with the world using his mind powers, nonchalantly lifting and carrying things all around him while his hands are left idle.
Dang, bro, he can't even go to bed. Like, it's crazy, bro. Bro, go to sleep in the air, wake up in the air, eat in the air.
Casually floating sideways or upside down at any point in the day just because he can. But when things get serious and it's time to fight, he unleashes the impossible speed buzzing just beneath the surface. He launches from point to point like a ray of light. Instead of colliding with enemies in a ball like Sonic might, he just gets really close, really fast. The psychic field around him tearing them apart long before they could ever touch. You ever see that clip from Jujutsu Kaisen where Gojo destroys the nature curse Hanami just by walking closer to it?
Yeah, he might be the most busted on this list.
Yeah, like that. And when he's forced to go all out, he'll drag the world around him at speeds approaching his.
What? Nah, that's crazy. Imagine him in a super form or a hyper form. I would dread going up against him. Nah, absolutely not.
Meaning, a handful of rocks in the hands of Silver could be launched pretty hard, but they become an invisible field of instant death when held by Photon, who rips the objects back and forth through the air so fast you can't even see them, and they shred through Eggman robots like a hot knife through butter. Photon is probably my second favorite fusion in the video. My favorite goes to another Silver fusion a little later. Before we get to that, I said up top that fusions should be limited to characters who have an existing dynamic. They don't need to be best friends, but they do need to have worked together and would hypothetically be willing to do so in order to fuse. But what if they were best friends?
Uh-oh.
What if Sonic fused with his best bud and little brother, Tails?
Uh-oh.
Tails is a much calmer, more reserved personality compared to those on this list. He's analytical and methodical by nature. He's great with technology because he's curious and he loves to tinker, which makes him a very different person than Sonic, who never gets caught up in details. Tails started out very self-conscious and shy, but once he developed and gained some confidence, he became less of a kid sidekick and more of a partner to Sonic. He specializes in planning, strategy, and of course, engineering all sorts of tools and vehicles, but he's also very physically capable. He can spin his twin tails like a turbine to propel himself almost as fast as Sonic, and when he points them vertically, he can lift off the ground like a helicopter. While Sonic is about as specialized as you can get, he has one stat that's very broken, Tails has a much more varied skill set. So when the two merge, you get a new character that brings together all of Sonic's physicality and Tails' ingenuity. This is Gyro the Mongoose. With
Gyro. Okay. I would have named him Gadget, but I'll take Gyro. Okay, it's fine.
Sonic's speed adapted into a body that has two spinning tails and a genius-level creative intellect, Gyro is a powerhouse. He can use his longer, thinner tails to fly, of course, but like Sonic's quills, the ends are hard and sharp, so his helicopter blades can instantly double as a circular saw, slicing everything in sight right down the middle. While Sonic has always been quick on his feet, Gyro is much more crafty in a fight. On a dime, he'll turn his tails into a giant fan, blasting a tunnel of wind at an enemy to send them flying with an unavoidable invisible gale force. Or he'll use his tails like a slingshot, revving up a spin dash while they build up tension to launch him dozens of times faster than he would be without them. The main thing is, Gyro is kind of a trickster. Sonic is a cocky smartmouth, but when you combine that with Tails' genius, you get a goofball who loves to pull tricks on his friends and play with his enemies like toys. He's not cruel. Tails' gentle nature actually makes him less confrontational than Sonic, but he is always up to some harmless mischief. Now, when I conceived this fusion, I had a really hard time pinning down a few details. First, the name. I briefly considered aero, as in aerodynamic, pertaining to speed and flight, or whirl, a rapid spinning that generates an air current. But I went with gyro because I think it has the most connections. A gyroscope is a circular machine that can rotate in any direction, which not only makes me think of Sonic's Spin Dash, but also Tails spinning helicopter tails. I think it's also a name that Tails himself would really like, with his appreciation for technology and his admiration for Sonic.
Gyro is making way more sense now. I would have called him Gadget because he would have been focused on having like super gadgets and stuff. The nigga's mind is like out of this world smart, like his IQ's like 10,000 or something. Like that's what I would have named him, but Gyro makes sense because he utilizes his tails more so.
Also, the halfway point between a hedgehog and a fox is frankly a lot harder to pin down than the other animal fusions. I could totally see like a fennec fox, a Corsic fox, even a tanuki would kind of make sense. I went with a mongoose because they seem to be right in the middle of the two animals size-wise, and their tails are pretty normal.
Look at the hump on that.
What the is wrong with you?
Longer than a tiny hedgehog tail, but not as big and fluffy as a fox. But I'm still not sure if this is the best fit for a fusion between these two. If you have a better idea for Gyro's name or species, definitely let me know down in the comments. And since I'm not so confident about this one, I should move on to the fusion I am most sure about. Shadow and Silver. These two are the most man-on-a-mission characters in the series. Shadow is a calm, stoic, and focused guy. He was born in a tragic situation that only became significantly more tragic as time passed. His first and closest friend, Maria, who he was created to save from her illness, was ruthlessly killed because of the danger he posed to the Earth. Shadow is an artificial being. He's forged from the DNA of an ancient race of evil aliens by a scientist who went mad and tried to wipe out all of humanity. By all accounts, he has every right to be a straight-up villain, but he grapples with his desire for vengeance against the anger boiling up inside, which clashes with the promise he made to Maria to protect the world. So we're left with a cold and mostly detached, bioweapon of a character who chooses to act in a way that lets him remember and appreciate his past without being shackled to it. Shadow is fairly complex and layered, while Silver is much more simple. His future was ruined, and he will stop at nothing to fix it. So, when the two meet in 06, they do not waste any time talking. They get right to throwing hands. And Shadow wins pretty handily at first. Created with innate chaos energy, he's a master at the teleportation and time-stop powers of chaos control, along with a handful of energy-based attacks and maneuvers. He fights like a soldier, calculated and precise, with a mastery of hand-to-hand combat, as well as a use of vehicles and various different types of weaponry. But Silver doesn't just get washed after fighting Shadow. During their first encounter, he immediately recovers by learning chaos control on the fly, proof that the two have a comparable level of combat skill and attunement to chaos energy. So when you put them together, that tremendous skill gets amped way higher. They become Spectre the Hedgehog.
Spectre, I like that.
Spectre is, as the name implies, like a ghost made of shadows. Between Shadow's speed and frequent teleportation with chaos control, and Silver's flight and telekinetic influence on the world around him, Spectre is practically impossible to pin down or keep track of. He also basically never speaks. Shadow is already the quiet type, but when you consider that these two would only ever fuse if things are absolutely dire, Spectre gets all of Silver's determination and Shadow's ruthlessness. He just blinks in and out of existence, sending you flying with a wave of psychic energy, or to your grave with a chaos spear, and is silently gone before your body can even hit the ground. In a rare instance, he might utter a single word under his breath, but if you ever hear his voice, it likely means you are not long for this world anymore.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Not Ghostbusters! They ain't coming to get his ass! Nope.
Sonic fused with Silver as Photon showed us more of Silver's good side, but Spectre is all of the angst and trauma of Shadow mixed with the absolute, resolute grit of Silver, who is willing to kill Sonic to save the world. And it's all backed up by his psycho chaos power. He'll stop time and then manipulate matter before starting time up again. You could be in a room full of machines, and in a blink, they've all been torn to shreds and bent into hundreds of blades floating inches from your throat in all directions.
Take his ass to Gotham. He could do what Bruce Wayne never could.
His precision is so great that he can use telekinesis to dislocate your shoulder or snap your leg,
oh my gosh,
instantly handicapping anyone not worthy of his wrath that might stand in his way. But those who do deserve his wrath, those who committed evils in the past or threaten the future, will all meet the same fate at the hands of a merciless spectral ghost.
Oh my gosh, this man right here is the definition of a menace. A ruthless warrior that will hold nothing back. I would hate, and I mean hate, to go up against this man, bro. I like the name Blitz for Sonic and Knuckles. I agree. Blitz would have been a way better name. Matter of fact, I think Blitz would have been the best name for him. Any other name other than Blitz? I really like Blitz right now. This nigga got me saying, cause Striker, it's okay, but Blitz? Come on, bro. That's a perfect name for Sonic and Knuckles fusion, bro. Let's keep it a band here. If y'all enjoyed that video, let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section. I love hearing y'all thoughts and opinions. Let's have a discussion. Y'all go support Beware. Make sure he's good. He makes fantastic content. He works really hard on those videos, and I would appreciate it if y'all go support him. And with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next video, man. Shalom.
Oh! Hey, listen.
Rose petals on the floor. The one from my dreams, and you're with me right now. Mi corazón te quiero. Right here and now, I'll give you a taste. Snake princess, I'll be your king.